It's your brother Mowa Olodumare, philosopher of the Mowa Academy of Applied Philosophy. Excuse my parents, children. I don't know. I just felt inclined to hit record today. Working out some things in my head and bored, and I guess decided to document it. These are the philosopher studies. What this is and isn't, it can be a medium in which lessons are being taught, but this is more so behind the scenes of how I get to the conclusions that I reach to before lectures and things like that. And I just happen to be working on quite a few things. Working on another book, and I'm working on some things to confront the issues of in childhood literacy and things like that. So, amongst other things. So, it's a cerebral time, and I want to get as much as I can with it, however many minutes that this stuff will allow. And yeah, welcome to the Philosopher Study. So, what I was just talking about, thinking about working out in my head, actually it originally started off as a philosophy versus religion, not a versus in the stupid sense, but like a comparative study of both of them, with religion, you know, in its roots meaning to bind, to tie, and things like that, and philosophy, you know, its roots meaning to be the love of wisdom. Comparing these two functions, and that brought me to the word function, which brought me to the word culture. Defined in one of these books I'm reading over here, that culture is a set of functions. The function is the who am I, both on an individual and a collective, both on an individual and collective level. So, it really brings me to this word function. What is the point? What is the purpose? What is the demonstrated principles expressed tangibly? That's my definition of culture, which is which gives direction of meaning to the actual function. It's a demonstrated principles expressed tangibly. Then the thought also came across about culture and community, because a lot of times that these words are used synonymously, but I don't think they're synonyms. I think they're two completely different things. Culture, as we just defined, are demonstrated principles that are expressed tangibly. Community are a group of individuals that can lack that culture, or lack of understanding, or whatever the case may be. This is the issues that when I look at people, when they say African Americans don't have culture, what is it that they're saying on a perceptual level? They don't see the function behind this group that is called Black, that is called African American, and things like that. So to distinct oneself from the mass misunderstanding, or those who just whatever, the function of a human being is something that human being has to come up with for themselves. That's why I said it's both a collective and an individual thing. I would actually say that culture is more of an individual thing first, before it becomes a collective thing, because each individual has to have a function. Each individual has a function. Then they come across other individuals that understand that they also have a function. So once you understand what your function actually is, once you understand who you actually are, you can come in contact with other human beings that have that understanding of who they are, so y'all then can function together. And then in that functionality, that is called a culture. There it is. Demonstrated principles expressed tangibly. So the question is, what principles are being expressed tangibly in your life? Because culture is an individual ambition? I don't know if that's the right word right now. But culture is an individual thing. It's an individual, I would say an individual journey of discovery of who you actually are. Because again, it goes back to function. Who am I? Again, most people get caught on the outward expressions of it, culture being clothes or names or whatever you might take on, but that's not what it is. I need to get some more chalk. And just another thought that went into my mind earlier, just to go back to what we were speaking for a second in religion versus philosophy. One meaning to bind, to tie, versus one that means the love of wisdom. What is their culture? What is the culture that is the function of religion versus philosophy? Going based off of the etymology of these words, one means to tie and one means to bind, and the other means the love of wisdom. Now, some would say to tie or to bind is meaning to like tie a community together based off certain principles, to tie one with God. But the philosopher asks, if God is manifest freedom, why would the means to experience that be to bind or to tie? To bind or to tie, that's not freedom at all. Because if you can easily say it can mean to bind or tie to common people, common culture, common whatever, what's being more expressed, the function, the demonstrated principles that we were more able to see tangibly, is that what's being bound in religion is doctrine. Doctrine more than anything. Conceptualizations of the infinite is the God of religion. God itself is lost in religion. The way that we talk about that God is the God of that of religion. And for that religion then to be valid, or for that religion to be considered a religion, you tie yourself, you bind yourself to this doctrine. You tie yourself and you bind yourself to this doctrine, and it's, you know, you can also put an L in that bad boy. You blind yourself to it because you put on these blinders that you can't see beyond this particular doctrine. Anything outside of that doctrine is something other. It's something other than what you have placed blinders on for yourself. As opposed to philosophy, philosophy is the love of wisdom. Wisdom, as we teach in the Mowa temple, is knowledge applied. equals wisdom. Knowledge is gathered information. And the thing is that this understanding is going to apply to anyone and everyone, whether their function is good or bad. Indeed, their function is going to determine what information they're going to gather in the first place. Depending on your function, depending on your who am I, depending on your understanding of yourself and your world and how you're placed in it. That's going to determine your gathered information, because information is infinite out here. It's tons of information that you can get at any given time. Whatever information that you grab onto and you apply, that becomes your knowledge. That knowledge applied will then become your wisdom. That then becomes the expressed principles, the demonstrated principles expressed tangibly. The outcome of your life and how you're able to coincide with others, coincide with other people who don't think the way that you think or do the things that you do. That's an expression of your function. That's the expression of your culture. Beyond the theatrics of our culture. And everyone has one. If you look at it in a sense of function. And everyone has one, period. Niggas just want to act different or some shit. Everybody has this shit. But it's a matter if you're conscious of it. Once you actually become conscious of it, then you're able to function differently if you want to. This is the whole point of applied philosophy. This is why we're the Mowa Academy of Applied Philosophy. We can sit here and think about shit all day, but that doesn't do anything. That's nothing more than logic games. And they're fun. I ain't gonna front, you know what I'm saying? I enjoy them, but like, they ain't shit at the end of the day. But if you can control the way that you function and able to change the way that you function at your given will, that's how you change societies in the world.